Welcome. Happy Saturday. This is Roll Your Doom on the Superior Adventurers Guild channel. I'm NorthShoreDM. Wow. Yes. Um, so, today we're going to be talking about the Story Engine deck by Peter Chiykowski. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about a few announcements I have about our channel goings ons. Hopefully, those are all words. So in 2 weeks, time, oh man, which is February the 6th and February the 7th. So Saturday and Sunday, 2 weekends from now, we will be launching our very first sort of mini series. It was originally intended to be a one shot, but that didn't necessarily work out. It's a mini series from 2 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I personally will be running a altered state game and story for you, our viewers, using Index Card RPG. It's going to be super awesome. Tune in for that. Also, we won't have this show that weekend. Also, next weekend we will also not have this show, as I will be out for some holiday sort of goings-ons that I will be taking part in. So I will not be here to do this show, which is nice. We'll take a little break and hopefully get some of my hitting the right audio buttons squared away. All right. So, yes, like I said, today we're talking about the Story Engine deck. The Story Engine deck is it's a deck. It's a series of decks of cards that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen. That ultimately is a sort of targeted and methodical set of prompts for you as a writer or as a dungeon master, a game master, or whatever sort of thing that you're doing to put together a story, to build characters, a series of prompts to help kind of methodically sort of put ideas together and build things from zero or from whatever context that you have in mind. It like I said, it was put together by a guy named Peter Chiykowski, and he ran it as a Kickstarter last year. And by last year, I actually mean 2019. Very successful Kickstarter. Full disclosure, I personally backed it on Kickstarter because it sounded really awesome and it looks really awesome, and I like it a lot. There's kind of the base set, which is sort of these cards here that you see. And then through the magic of Kickstarter, we were able to fund a series of expansions and booster packs to kind of add different flavors and more detailed tweaks to the prompts, right? So there's a fantasy, there's a science fiction, and there is a horror themed expansion packs that add new cards for each of the decks. And then there's also booster packs, which are smaller packs that you can use to add on to the whole game the whole decks as a whole, or the add in with kind of linked sort of the expansion pack. So there's a steampunk, cyberpunk, like a mythology booster packs, and those kind of go along with the expansion packs, which then ultimately go with the main deck to build a huge, monstrous deck of awesome very targeted writing prompts for you and your work. Dave just asked me a great question in my ear. He said, do you need the main deck or can you just use the expansions? Well, that's a good question. I'm going to say a little of yes, a little of no. So the expansion packs kind of build on a lot of the ideas that are in the main deck, and kind of add sort of flavored, targeted things, sets to the individual decks of cards. So you probably could just use the expansion packs. The booster packs are super small, which I'll kind of go through all that stuff in a minute. But the booster packs are super small and really kind of just even more flavor for a very targeted kind of thing. So you could get away with the expansion packs kind of by themselves. You might be missing out on a few different things that you would get from the main deck. But you could totally run it. You could totally use it just with the expansion packs, just with like I said, with that kind of smaller pool of options. All of those are available on for now that everything is live and going around on through their website, storyenginedeck.com. You can find out all of the cool bits and pieces of how to get it in your own mitts that way. So what is this story engine? What is this deck, this series of decks? So it's a number, the deck as a whole is made up of essentially a number of smaller decks. We have agents, we have anchors, engines, conflicts, and aspects, right? So agents are characters that make choices in the story. It could be an NPC, it could be for game wise, right? It could be an NPC, it could be you're trying to come up with a player character as well. Engines are the motivations and relationships that they may have that kind of help define and help focus them as a character. Anchors, objects, locations, events of importance, and those could be things that are happening. They could be things that have happened, say, to an agent, but also it could be a thing that is building, that you're building as the storyteller, as the dungeon master or whatever, into your story. We have conflicts. Conflicts are obstacles, consequences, dilemmas that come up in the story that players encounter, all of that kind of stuff. And then aspects are just adjectives that help define and kind of further focus the whatever you kind of want to attach it to, right? One of the cool things about this deck is that these cards are square, right? So you have 4 equal sides, and all of the cards, all of the individual decks within the deck kind of make use of at least 2 of the sides, and some of them make use of 4 of the sides, which is super nice. That way you get a lot more information into a smaller number of cards, smaller amount of space. And so you can, so you draw cards, say, I'm going to draw, let's see what kind of character it's going to be, right? So you could draw a card and you have options, a healer, in this case, a healer, a peacemaker, or a peacekeeper, a therapist, or a doctor. And if you like one of them better than the other, in kind of your prompt spread, almost like a tarot spread, or like the spreads that we did last week with the Think Deck. You kind of lay it out in front of you however you like. Hang on, I need this beverage. It's coffee. It's the best. Oh, what am I drinking? Thanks, Dave. If you live in the great city of Duluth, Minnesota, or anywhere, that's a hard. If you live in many places in Minnesota, you can get Alecaf. It's their tasty coffee. I love it. Dark roast, light roasts are too weak. Yes, Alecaf, if you're watching, we would totally pimp you even more for stuff. Free coffee. I would do that. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Let's show. Send me coffee. I'm shilling for you right now. Anyway, back to this. Oh, no, I lost my train of thought. I got talking about coffee. Yeah. So the expansions. So the expansions essentially add targeted kind of context oriented cards to go into each of those decks. You know, if you're going to use them, you can shuffle them up, and then you can draw, and that way you can draw a new, you know, something that is either from the main deck or whatever expansion you're using. And then you can kind of customize the whole thing however you want. Heck, you could even kind of go through an expansion or go through the main deck and be like, you know, this doesn't really make sense for the story. This one, this kind of, you know, like this card, this doctor card, that makes sense, so we'll keep it in. But maybe like a teacher card or a professor or whatever, maybe that doesn't make sense. So you can really kind of build the deck that you want, you know, in a way like you would build a Magic the Gathering deck, and then draw and get a very targeted set of options in that same sort of way. And then the expansions themselves are 60 total cards, whereas the boosters are, I believe 20 cards, 18 cards. So they kind of go with are meant to go with the expansions, to kind of further make things awesome. Yeah, but I guess that's the basics of what this is. Yes, thank you, Phoenix, for stopping by. I can see that. Let's do some. Let's use it. Let's see how it works. Let's see what we can build. Let's tell a story, because that's what we all really like to do. Now, I'm not going to use for our demo here. I'm not going to use the expansions. I'm just going to use the main deck. And I'll be honest, the big reason I did that is because I didn't really feel like having to go through and pull the cards out later on. But we can do the main deck, and it's going to be pretty good in either case. If you were here last time for our last episode, you know, we kind of had we took a lot of prompts from from you, the audience, and I like that. I want to keep that going. I like telling stories with other people. Telling stories by myself is lame. I don't like it. But telling stories with other people, that's where the fun is. So if whatever I'm about to do resonates and you want to say something, say something. If you have a question, ask it. Dave will put it into my ear and I will hear it, and it will be as music to me. Let me just shuffle these real quick. All right. There we go. Now, actually, hang on. I need a little bit of water first. I need to water my whistle. Yes, I know it's wet, your whistle, but it's my show. I can do whatever I want, mostly within reason. Okay. Everything starts with everything starts with a character. Sometimes. Let's start with it today. Let's see what the cards have in store for us. All right, so we have the options of a leader, a boss, a guide, or a politician. Those are good options. Let's not do a politician. Let's do a guide. Let's do a guide. I think that's slightly less pertinent to our real world timelines. All right. How about boss? Okay. Warrior Brewing, we'll do a boss. Okay. Let's see. Why don't we do. What are they the boss of? We need to figure that out. So let's draw an anchor card to see kind of what kind of options we have. Oh, this is fantastic. I love it already. This is super fun. A museum, an auction piece, an exhibit, or a necklace. So being the boss of a necklace would be super weird. So how about they're the boss? They run a museum. This boss does. I like it. I like it. Let's put that under there. So as you can see, now we've got a little spread going. We can kind of build from there. Oh boy, where do we go from here? Let's get a little bit of motivation. Let's learn a little bit more about this boss. We have wants to erase a memory of or with, or wants to restore a memory of or with. Man, that's deep. Do restore. We can do restore. We can do that. Let's put that right there. Now the question is, yeah. Now the question is what? What now we have to keep going, right? Whose memory? What's memory are we restoring? Why don't we pick? Should it be a person? It could be a person. It could be an object. What do you think? Anyone? Anyone? I'm going to pick something if you don't. Okay, cool. I get it. I'm going to pick an object. An object. We have a piece of furniture. Goddamn, Phoenix, that's deep. That's good. I like it. Mummies are generally considered to be cursed, right? I like that. So let's throw that there. All right. I love it. This is like, this is a little side tangent, but if anyone out there has seen the wonderful movie Bubba Hotep, I'm looking at you. You know about mummy curses. Okay, let's move on to a conflict. Let's figure out the sort of thing that is kind of getting in the way, maybe, of that, or what is the issue with restoring the memory of this mummy? But it will mean risking the thing most precious to them, or it will cost them their soul. Wow. This is going to be my new book. I'm writing this as a book right now. Holy cow. This is great. What do you think? Cost their soul or risk the thing that is most precious to them? Scoos. Scoos, I know you're out there. Scoos, I know you have something for me. No. Let's go with it will cost them the thing most precious to them. Okay. Warrior Breen says soul for sure. We're going to go with it. I like it. Okay. Now, let us think about. Obviously, we have to have. We have to have, the villain in this story. So, who is trying to stop? Who wants to thwart this? Because these are the kinds of stories I write, or would run, or would talk about. Somebody has to oppose you, like Darth Vader. Don't give me that crap about Darth Vader being the protagonist. All right, we have an enforcer, an assassin, a soldier, or an athlete. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of want to go with an athlete. Am I saying an athlete? That's weird. Athlete. An athlete. I'm gonna say it like 6 more times so everyone knows that I know how to say this word. I really think that it would be hilarious in the story if somebody like, say, I don't know, Shaquille O'Neal is opposing our main character, the museum boss. That would just be hilarious. uh, I love it. So we're gonna go with that because it sounds hilarious. Of course, why are they doing this? What's their goal? What's their motivation? Let's draw another card and find out. Wants to expose the secret of, or wants to bury the secret of. We're like 9 cards in, and this is already just totally working very well. This is a wonderful. I love it. I think that our athlete wants to keep whatever this thing is a secret. The knowledge of this mummy, this secret hidden pyramid. They want to keep it a secret, maybe for themselves or because, yeah, Shaq Fu. I love it. Um, or maybe because the the power of this hidden pyramid is it's too much. to have in any one person's hands or out to the world. Who knows? That's the way these stories go, right? I think. Okay. Um, let us. Yeah. Man, there's so much we could do from that. That's one great example. We have a main character, some motivations. We have a villain, their nemesis, possibly, right? Just a few cards. Mm. So Dave just asked me a very awesome question. At one point in my prep as a dungeon master or as a game master, would I use these cards? I think right here was a great example of maybe just building an NPC. Um, so if I need a, if I maybe my brain isn't firing on all cylinders and I need to create an NPC. I'm creating just a list of NPCs because we're going to be in a town and I need to have a bunch of NPCs ready to go. I could just draw a few cards and generate a few different NPCs, give them motivations, kind of give them what they do, what's important to them pretty quickly. It could even be the sort of thing where you already have a list. You already kind of know, like you've got like a shopkeeper, a bartender, the guy who works on the docks. You already kind of have this ideas in mind of what NPCs might be around for your players to interact with, and you need to you want to give them a little bit more depth. You want to figure out their motivations. Um, yeah, you want to figure out like what the heck is their side quest, right? Like, I mean, if you watch our Beyond Saltmarsh game, you've definitely found out that it feels like every NPC that Dave puts us up in touch with has has a side quest. Um, and this could be a tool that you use to just generate a bunch of side quests, like in like 5 minutes. You could just draw a bunch of these motivation and conflict cards, and or anchor cards to kind of go with an NPC character to generate a bunch of um, really quick ideas that hopefully would then, of course, trigger relevant things in your mind, um, so you can kind of work it all into whatever story or game that you're telling. It might be the sort of thing too that you are at the beginning of the process of creating your game. You're kind of developing the overarching arc, of whether or not you break your your campaign into seasons, or if you're just kind of trying to define the whole piece, the whole arc of the campaign itself. You could you start by focusing on the villain, figure out what the villain is, draw an agent card. What are they trying to do? Draw their engine card, to help kind of figure out the sort of thing that what that villain's goal is, and kind of build from there in the same kind of manner that we did here. It could be that you need that you really have ideas for the um, NPCs, for the villains or whatever, and that you don't need those, but you need kind of quests, that you want to throw together, and you can just grab motivation, a motivation, an aspect, to kind of, or a motivation, an anchor, to kind of define, you know, maybe the motivation is you know, you got to find something. In this case, I drew find or escape. You know, so you draw an anchor. What are we finding? What are we trying to escape from? Uh, you can draw an aspect card, which we haven't really used yet. So let me talk about those. Aspect cards are things that you can use to define a character, to define an object, a place, to define a, a physical thing, right? To help kind of talk about it in a more detailed way. So this example here: trapped, wealthy, invisible, mysterious. You know, if uh, you're trying to find a chalice, you know, oh, we need a little bit more description about the chalice. Draw an aspect card. It's mysterious. It's trapped. You know, those all kind of give you kind of different ideas to build upon and to kind of further define. I really like uh, the aspect cards for magic items. Um, Obviously, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you know you have this great, huge list of magic items in the Dungeon Master's Guide. You know, or if you're on Drive Through RPG or the DM's Guild or wherever, there's all these crazy lists of magic items that people have created and put out there for you to get at, for you to use in your games. You know, but sometimes that's a little more restrictive in some ways because reasons. Sometimes you just don't want to use those sorts of things. If you're playing a game like, say, like Index Card RPG, where you might just have the name of an object, you know, like, or what an object is, it's a sword, and then a defining kind of tag or aspect to define kind of how it is, what it does. Um, you know, it could be invisible. You know, what does that mean? And then you can kind of figure out and kind of use that to create new magic items or new objects, um, by just having what that object is, and then, you know, one, two, or three, or whatever kind of aspects, adjectives to help kind of define that and further kind of make it unique, make it interesting, and make it fit. Yeah. Wow. That's great. Any any does anyone have any questions? We've got a bunch more time left. We're gonna have to do some more stuff. Let's do another setup. Let's do it. Let's get everyone involved. That's what I that's what I like. We're gonna take all of these cards and we're gonna get rid of them. We're not gonna use those again because we're gonna try something new. So let's maybe talk about a kind of a plot. Let's the first idea was a little more character focused, and this can be still character focused, but let's start from a different spot. So let's start from the conflict and work our way outwards from there as a slightly different example of what we can do. So here we have, but they will have to try something frightening and new, or but the last time they tried, it ended in humiliation. Mm, those are great. It's kind of like doing your own Twitch show live in front of people. um, let's do. Yes, or that, Dave. I'm not going to repeat that, but I found it funny. And I'm sorry that I said that in front of everyone. Now you're wondering what the hell Dave said. Moving on. Let's go with the last time they tried it, it ended in humiliation. Oh, this will be interesting. What was it? What was this thing? Uh, a conflict. Let's go. Wait, no, that was a conflict. That was a conflict. Uh, let's use the engine. The engine card. Wants to stop being haunted by or wants to hide an obsession with. But the last time we did this, it ended in humiliation. Wants to hide an obsession with. The last time we tried to hide it, it ended in humiliation. Yeah. There's some shame here. I like that. Let's see. Let's move on. What is this thing? What is this obsession? This shameful, humiliating obsession. This is about to get very telling. Let's draw an anchor card. An election. Wow, that's really close to home for somebody. A manifesto. A name. Or a rebellion. This is so good. This is so good. Oh, my cat wants to join the stream. So yeah, this is a story about our current election, or the election we just had, or about somebody who really likes Star Wars, but it's uncool to like Star Wars. Holy shit! This is a story about me in the late '80s, early '90s. This is high school all over again. Hello, cat. And to further my point in a story about Star Wars, my cat who's on my lap right now, his name is Mace Windu. Hello, Mace Windu. Say hi to everyone. He's cool. He has a bow tie now. It has sushi sushi on it. It's hilarious. Okay. Uh, all right. Now we have a person obsessed, or the conflict trying to hide this obsession with this rebellion that is the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars. Trying to hide it caused this person a bit of humiliation. Um, let's find out a little bit more about this person. What kind of person are they? Let's draw an agent card. It's like this deck is magical. It knows what's happening. A beast, a pet, a shapeshifter, or a hedonist. I never remember what a hedonist means. So I think a shapeshifter would be kind of interesting. Oh, thank you, Dave. A hedonist, if you don't know, is a person who pursues pleasure as the most important thing. In some ways, many of us are hedonists. I don't know, but let's. Here's what I think would be hilarious: a shapeshifter who is trying to hide the fact that they love Star Wars and gets humiliated by Star Wars love. But maybe that shapeshifter is also a secret, like a secret werewolf who loves Star Wars and also shapeshifts into something embarrassing. I like it. I love it. But what would be an embarrassing thing to shift into? I'm not going to draw a card for that because maybe I should. Maybe this is like one of those weird animes where it's like, when I get in the hot tub, I turn into a panda bear. Like, that's kind of weird. Maybe they turn into a rival, a vigilante, an avenger, or a ghost. Or Jar Jar Binks. Let's get rid of that. A diplomat. Jar Jar Binks. He's a diplomat. Later on in the movies. Let's go with that. you turn into Jar Jar Binks. This is strange. Yeah, this is all strange and this is all strange and weird. And very humiliating to turn into Jar Jar Binks or to admit that you love Star Wars. To have to hide. What kind of world do we live in where you would have to hide that you love Star Wars? A place where Dawson's Creek has a nine a 9 movie arc plus spin-off miniseries is. I don't know if Dawson's Creek and Star Wars are really on the end of the spectrums. That seems like a strange spectrum to be on. My cat doesn't. He thinks that's weird too. All right. Um, let's see. Where can we go from here? Where can we go from here? Oh, I'm a little stumped again. Middle Earth. Let's move on. Let's do one more. I'm stumped with that one. Let's go for some Middle Earth shenanigans. What after Sauron? What is plaguing Middle Earth? Who is the new evil person to want to subjugate the Shire? A doctor, a peacekeeper, a healer, or a therapist? I mean, if we went with peacekeeper, that would be a little bit like when the hobbits return to the Shire at the end of The Lord of the Rings, and they find that Saruman's agents have kind of taken over things and been a bunch of jerks, all in the name of keeping the peace, if I remember right, anyway. Hmm. Let's go with that. What's this evil peacekeeper's motivation? Wants to hold on to or let go of. I think it's obvious that a peacekeeper wants to hold on to something. But what is it? What's there? Let's go with an anchor card. Let's see how that works. A pit A mountain, a sacrifice, or a flask. That's weird. I don't like that. Let's get a new one. The old ways. We don't need a card. Let's go with the old ways. We can do whatever we want. It's our story to tell. Sometimes you don't need prompts. Sometimes prompts give you prompts themselves. I like that. I like that idea. Um, all right. And how is this conflict generated? It will mean betraying family, or it will mean forgiving family. Maybe this peacekeeper, he wants to hold on to the old ways, but it means betraying his family. Because he's a sheriff in the Shire. Whatever these old ways are. Who are the heroes in this story? Who will save us from this person, this peacekeeper of the old ways? Let's find out. Oh, a hero. I mean, that's obvious. Or a mentor, a martyr, or a rebel. I like martyr. Ultimately, this person is going to die to save everyone. And then they will rise up, possibly, to stop this peacekeeper's goal of the old ways. What makes this person tick? What are they about? Are they impulsive, fascinating, elusive? Are they burning? Heroes are sometimes impulsive. Yeah, that is good. What's their goal in all of this aside from stopping this villain? What's their motivation, their driving force? They want to find hope for or in, or want to bring despair. Well, it can't be despair. I don't find hope. I don't like that. That's too. Eh, eh. They want to unravel a mystery, or they want to spread a lie. I don't know. Those are good. Hmm. They want to unravel the mystery, maybe. An impulsive person who wants to unravel the mystery of the old ways. And that's why they have to stop the peacekeeper. Maybe the old ways are bad. Yes. Anyway, let's call this a day. So here we have some great sort of examples of how you can use the Story Engine deck in your games, in your processes, in your methods, in your story writing. You can find it at the Story Engine, storyenginedeck.com, where you can find out how to purchase it, purchase any of the expansions or the booster packs, and get them in your little mitts so you can use them just as I have to help kind of build ideas and create characters and motivations and events and conflicts. I I love it. I really like it. It's really cool. The art is really interesting. Some of the art that they did for the fantasy expansion uh, is is art from an like an upcoming role playing game um, called Emberwind, uh, put together by Peter uh, Chiykowski and another group of people. They got some super awesome art that is also in the Story Engine deck fantasy expansion. The art for the sci-fi stuff is very good. It's really good. All of the art's really good. The design is great. High gloss cards. The only thing that I would say is a detriment to the cards is that they are a bit off of in size. And what I mean by that is, um, hopefully, I'm remembering these numbers right. Uh, square board game, say card sleeves. If you're the sort of person who uses card sleeves, generally come in 80 mil, 80 millimeter a side and 70, 70, 70 something mils on a size. And so these are a slightly different size. And so like the kind of standard sleeves that I have purchased don't quite fit as nice as I would like them to. Um, but beyond that, I think it's fantastic. I have used this in in my own game to kind of give a little bit more flavor to some of the stuff that I have been working on. To include the Altered State one shot / miniseries, which is coming out in 2 weeks, right here on Twitch. It's going to be fun. So again, thank you for joining me today. Those of you who have stuck around, thank you for if you are the sort of person who came back from last week and stuck around. Thanks. I know last week some of the audio issues were a little tough, and we had some of the similar problems this week. But we're learning, we're getting better. Each new time is going to be better than the last. At least that is my hope. So next time we're back, it'll be better. It'll be great. It'll be fantastic. Follow us on Twitter at Guild Superior, and I will be posting soon about what we're going to be doing next time and when that's going to happen. You can also catch all of our videos sort of archived, whether it's this or our Beyond Saltmarsh game live stream is all on our YouTube channel as well. Also, Guild Superior. And then, of course, as I said, we're on Twitter at Guild Superior. We post things about things we're doing. We like to kind of boost the tabletop RPG creator kind of community and really kind of help get other people who are streaming games and creating content. We like to help kind of spread the word about what they're doing so that we can reach larger audiences and be better together. Yeah. If you want to hear about any of the things that I do specifically myself, I am at RealSimG on Twitter. Yeah. Again, thank you. And we're gonna call it a day. Go enjoy your Saturday, play some games, write some stories, work out, go for a walk, drink a beer, do whatever it is that you do to enjoy yourself. And yeah, thanks for watching.